So I sought treatment at the Theta Wellness Center because I've been struggling with an addiction, a sexual addiction, since I was 11, 12. And that addiction has put me through the ringer, and it was really tough for a lot of years. I went through everything that I could basically get my hands on. I pulled out all the stops that I could think of. I went through ecclesiastical leaders, did talk therapy through several therapists, through several leaders, helped with my parents. We used all sorts of tricks. The best anybody could think of, the best I could think of, used everything. And there were times where I was sober, if you want to call it that. But most of the time I was just struggling. And so I really just needed something new and different. And it was about the time, it was the time when I was like seeking, I knew I needed something different. I had felt guided to seek professional help. And that's the only sort of word I had for it. And so I saw a billboard. I was like, hey, that looks like something I ought to at least look into it. Looked into it, something different, something that I think I had been looking for a while, something a little bit more scientific, a different approach on it. And it was just exactly what I was open to it from the very get-go, which is really good. So so me and my wife, we just jumped right in, and after the walkthrough, we really felt like this is something different. This is something that I've given everything else a shot. Why not give this a shot? Because honestly, this is some of the best stuff that I had heard in years. Best news in 13 years for me. So I would need to hear that, first of all, you can trust it, and second of all, don't have any fears. Because I was really anxious before I came in about, okay, so this is me actually making the life change that I've wanted to make for years. And then I got to that point and I was like, I just kind of seized up. I was all of a sudden got pretty scared about what this life change was going to, like how I was going to fundamentally change. And I can tell myself now, if I were to go back, whatever change, don't be afraid of anything you have to change, because every change that you make is all for the positive. It makes you it makes you happy, it makes you healthy, it makes you love and enjoy life even more. You shouldn't have any fear to make the changes that this will make if you're open to it and you really put forth the effort. Oh wow, it's changed a lot. I think the biggest change is just my general happiness. Before, I was thinking that I could only be happy every once in a while, and there was hardly any control about whether I felt happy in any given situation. Now I realize that I can be happy most of the time, and going through a rough life and difficulties only part of the time. Less than 50% of the time. You have to have the negatives, but the positives should always and will always outweigh the negatives. So I think the biggest change for me is a level of consciousness. I'm living very much more conscious of my emotions, my thoughts, much more conscious of the world around me, other people, much more conscious of how I'm doing internally and how that exhibits itself externally. Because that's one thing, the unique blend of all these different techniques and therapies that you've got going on here. It has brought a whole new level of understanding about the world into my mind. So I look at the world differently, I look at myself differently, I accept myself more, and it's all, I'm okay on the inside, which is not something I've felt for 13 years. And that's fascinating. So that's how my life has changed. I look at everything differently so that I can be more happy and I can make a positive difference in the world, because that's what I feel like my goal in life is. That is my purpose, my higher purpose, whatever you want to call it, is to make a difference. But I can't do that unless I feel right on the inside. And now I'm feeling right on the inside. I haven't experienced like withdrawal pains or anything like that. Of course, I'm not sure I know exactly what that is. Are the temptations or triggers still there? Yeah, they're still there. But even from the first day, I noticed that the triggers or the temptations would be there. But before those triggers or temptations would, in a way, inhibit my ability to choose and decide concerning the trigger, whether I was going to follow it or not. And it just opened me up. I felt like I had more control than I had previous to the therapy. Anxiety, depression, there have been times where I was getting a little too overconfident in myself, that I just kind of let things kind of slip, and I started to slip back into my emotion or my normal status before I was. And so yeah, I slipped up in a way, but I learned an important lesson from that. And now I'm never going to let myself slip up before. If I ever see those warning signs again, I know exactly what I have to do to get out of it. And so, so are those temptations and triggers still there to depression, anxiety? It can be if you choose to let it, because there will be times when I think the triggers will come, but this time I feel prepared for it, and I feel like I've been given the option to choose and opt out of it. And that's the beauty of it. I love the choosing part. Well, I don't feel like I got to choose before. It was nice. It was funny because my first day in the chamber, immediately before then, I had gone to an eye appointment, and they had dilated my eyes. So my first time in the chamber, my eyes were dilated, and they have the stimulation for the eyes. So it still wasn't too intense for me, but I think that it was just fascinating. My first experience was it was so relaxing and calming. It was just because the chamber seems like it's designed to activate all of your senses at the same time. And it was fascinating to have all of that sensory come alive and just be peaceful, because it really brought me into the moment and allowed me to experience it. And it was such a peaceful experience that I loved it. It was almost addicting just going into the chamber. So peaceful, so relaxing, enlightening too, especially when you come out. You think it's enlightening in there and peaceful and relaxing. You come out and you start thinking about kind of what you're going through and stuff like that. And I think whatever your higher power is finally starts getting into your mind and allowing you to think about things in a new way already. Even from the very first time, started realizing things from the first time, I started making decisions for the first time that were seriously going to affect the success of my recovery. What it's like in the chamber is, I think it's fascinating, because I get fascinated by everything. So you have lights. You're closing your eyes, but you have lights. So if you've ever paid attention to what things look like behind your eyelids, like when you're going to sleep, sometimes you can just see lines, and sometimes you can see shapes and things. This is you see shapes, you see patterns, and it constantly changes every split second. So you're always seeing some new kind of pattern, lines, symmetry. It's really weird. I don't know why you see that, but it's kind of cool, actually, kind of entertaining, especially for your first few times. It's really entertaining to just kind of watch and see things take shape visually. You're also hearing very peaceful music, and I even had my favorite song in the mix. I just love this one song that would play every once in a while. Very peaceful songs. So that would nice calm and relax you, and it covers up tones, and you can hear the tones every once in a while. In fact, there was one session where the music just cut out and I was just listening to tones, and I could see how that might annoy some people, but it didn't annoy me. I thought it was strangely soothing to hear just the tones. I'm a musician, so maybe that kind of affects that, but But yeah, the tones are there, that you can hear audible tones, but most of the time, if not all the time, they're covered up by nice peaceful music. And they can adjust the sounds or the light intensity to however you want it. You also have oxygen blowing, and I would position it just so it would hit my nose, and I don't know if they meant to put smells in it or oxygen just smells like that, but there's a nice, for some reason, soothing smell that comes with that. And then, let's see. So that's, oh, and then they clip things onto your ears, and you can feel, if you're perceptive and you're paying attention, you can feel a tingling there, but it's not like an uncomfortable tingling or anything. But that's only if you're paying attention. Otherwise, I never even noticed it for like the first 20 times I was in the chamber, and then somebody mentioned it, and I was like, oh yeah, I can feel that. But yeah, it was good. All the different things they bring. Oh, they also spin you, and the machine really does a really good job. After the first few seconds of spinning, you can't really tell that you're spinning, like hardly at all. And then it'll switch directions halfway through, so you feel that motion. But I think it kind of enhances, because that's another way it activates another sense, your balance and things like that. So it really activates everything there for you. So it was a different experience, but heck, I like different things. So yeah, so there's two things that can happen. Either I can be very conscious the whole time in the chamber and be very aware of how much time is passing and things like that, but most of the time I find myself slipping into almost a sleep-like state where time just flies, and then the machine stops and I can't tell whether I was asleep the whole time or not. But whether or not you're asleep, your mind's very active, so I think that's why it can change your sense of time. It never quite felt like a half an hour. You're in there, you're supposed to be in there for half an hour. To me, I don't think any one of the times it felt like a full half an hour. Time seemed to fly, and I just loved it. And by the time it stopped, I was like, oh man, I can't keep going for just a little bit longer. It is affordable. Yeah, I mean, we're a young couple. We haven't even been married a year yet. Financially, for a young couple, we're fairly financially secure, and we're totally able to make the payments. In fact, we helped pay for my brother. We paid his as well. I don't know what it's like paying money for any other detox facility, but the price is very much worth it. If I can feel this good and have this life change like I'm having it, then it's worth every penny I put into it. So no regrets there as far as how much I paid for it. Definitely worth the money. And but from what I hear, it's a heck of a lot less than any other center or even I just remember paying just for talk therapy. Talk therapy was expensive, and it never really did much for me. They tried to boot me out after 4 sessions and things like that. They wanted me to be healthy and well after 4 sessions. They don't want me to come back, but it never really worked. So this was definitely a lot more worth it. But yeah, I just say don't hesitate. It's something new, it's something different, and my family's very skeptical of everything. I was born skeptical, born into my DNA, and but it was worth it. I mean, yeah, I came in with a lot of skepticisms, but I left, even just the tour, I left feeling, okay, yeah, I think I can do this. I know I can do this, and I think this is going to be the difference. So if you open your mind to it, and some people have a harder time opening their mind than others, but it's worth the effort trying to open your mind, trying to accept the experience as it comes to you. She sees and feels the difference in me. I think she has, and I think she's been responding very positively to that, because I think that as I've become more me, the real me, the me that I should be, the me that I am inside, she has been becoming more her, and she's been very much supportive of the whole process, and she has liked the changes, And I think that there's even been a change in her, because she's come to especially like the Tuesday night sessions, the life skills classes, and she finds everything that's taught here and encouraged here fascinating, helpful, and she enjoys it a lot. In fact, she's even considered going through and trying to become an RET technician. So she's toyed with the idea. She likes it so much.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think that she's seen the positive change, and I think that my change has helped her a lot. It's helped her a ton because she's more peaceful. She's okay with everything. We can talk about things talk about challenges, because we now have the tools to overcome all of those challenges, which we didn't have before. And we would discuss things, and it would be frustrating because there would be at the end of a lot of conversations, there wouldn't be a lot of hope. But now there's not only hope, there's happiness, and there's a learning. You learn after every discussion. You learn after every experience you have in your relationship. So many things in your relationship and in your life just come alive. And you can feel so much more now than you could before. So.